Okay, so today I want to discuss some of the mistakes that players make when hero calling in live poker. So, one of my clients was back and forth with me on Slack, and he sends me this hand. And, when I'm coaching players, you look at hands and you're looking for specific things. When I'm working with players and I understand their mistakes or where they're prone to be making mistakes, sort of look for that in hand histories instead of arguing it from this, oh, you should have, just had this sizing a little bit higher. You're looking for bigger themes so you can be more effective in moving people forward, essentially. And my client, Steven, sends his hand and it's like, the hand's not important, but it's blah, 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 blah. And then he goes, we decide to hero call and we're wrong, right? And I sort of look at the hand and I read it over twice and I send him a message and I'm like, hey man, it sounds like you're ego calling, not hero calling. And for him, it was like a big insight because he tends to make these really thin river calls out of ego because he doesn't want to be bluffed. He wants to be perceived as a higher level player, all this other mental game stuff that's biasing or forcing his decision-making process to not be an objective deconstruction of what reality actually is for that spot. And it definitely comes up for a lot of players, especially with that term hero call. So I just want to go over some of the things. But first, I just want to define a hero call. So those of you who don't know, hero call is when you're calling with some marginal hand that is probably on the line. So you can fold that hand, but you muster up the courage to make a hero call. This is often occurring, obviously, against somebody who's potentially bluffing. Now, there's three mistakes players make when this. So first, you don't need to have the ability to hero call in most lineups, but it's something you should definitely be working towards. So I hear sometimes language get mixed around. So players take language from high stakes players and bring them and integrate them into their game. So if you're playing, let's say with a bunch of regs or a bunch of players that understand how to dynamically adjust to this game, there's a certain level, you need to be able to hero call in certain spots or else players can just blow you off too many hands. It doesn't work that way. And then sometimes I'll see like 1-2 players playing in their casual game saying, well, I don't want to be exploited, so I need to hero call in this spot. It's like, no, you don't. You're never playing with those players again. They're probably not bluffing. This is a wrong adjustment. So you're carbon copying that. Now, the pursuit of the hero call is a very, very useful pursuit because what you're basically doing is you're objectively looking at the hand, you're seeing all the action, and then you're making a decision based on that information. It's just not always necessary in certain dynamics. So you want to work towards it, but don't think you need to hero call in your 1-2 or even sometimes 2-5 games. It doesn't work. Also, number two, hero calls when you aren't properly rolled or in a financial situation to deal with the loss are just stupid. They're basically better spots. So sometimes players will say like, oh, I'm playing with no roll. I've only got like 2 or 3 buy-ins. And then they find a hero call in a spot where it's like, what the hell are you doing? If you don't have any money behind you, you can't look for those thin value spots. You can't handle the risk. You should be focusing on other situations and other dynamics. So that's another like sort of warning sign. And then third, the line between a hero calling genius and a bad call is a very, very, very thin line. So you have to understand these hero calls come up once in a while. If you never make these calls or are frequently making these calls, that's a problem. Meaning if you never have the ability to call a player except when you have a nuts or second nuts or whatever, or you're constantly showing ace high and river spots and you're like, I call it wrong, you want to evaluate it because it's something it's a part of a good strategy and a part of a balanced game in live poker. But like what you want to make sure you do is don't lean one way to another. Most of you watching this, I tend to believe players do lean one way or another. And the best way to do this is just like T-chart your hero calls. So like make a T-chart and say hero call was correct, hero call was wrong. I guarantee you some of you will be, correct all the time, but you only hero call once, every 100 or 300 hours or something like that. And some of you are just constantly making these hero calls and you're wrong. And you shouldn't have made the call in the first place. And you're like, oh, I just wanted to call. Most of the time, we want to call. We want to see what a player has. We don't want to fold. So what do? We make the hero call. When you're not a hero, you're just being stupid. It's just the best way that I could. So I can't tell you how many times people have said these hands that are like blah 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 blah, whole hand written out, and then at the end it's like, I don't think we can fold here. We have to call. And I like read the hand, and I'm like, no, you could fold there. You're beat. That's just stupid. So be very careful with that. I see that language seeping into players of all different stakes. You need to make sure you're doing what's right for you, okay? That's about it. Also, I keep saying the word hero over again. The show on Amazon called, what's it called? The Boys, I think. The Boys. It's like a really interesting show about heroes. Check that out. We're not sponsored by Amazon, but I just figure I'd let you know some good shows. It's cute. It's funny. It's interesting. It's different. Check it out. Subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions. Talk to you later.